Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
But what if I told you that the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny could be worth far more than its face value? What if the right variety, in the right condition, could transform a simple coin into a powerful financial opportunity? Today, we are diving deep into the story, the value, and the hidden potential of the 1960 Lincoln penny. If you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, and serious about turning rare coins into real money, this is the kind of information that can change how you look at every handful of change. The 1960 Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, one of the most important minting facilities in the country. The Denver Mint has produced billions of coins over the decades, and in 1960 it was working at full speed to meet the nation's demand for small change. That year, the Mint struck over 1.5 billion Lincoln cents with the D Mint mark. At first glance, that mintage number sounds enormous. And it is. So how could a coin with such a high production number ever be worth serious money? The answer lies in varieties, condition, and collector demand. The 1960 Lincoln cent is part of the wheat and memorial transition era. Although the wheat reverse design ended in 1958, the legacy of those classic wheat pennies still fuels interest in early memorial cents. The obverse still features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. That design, created by Victor David Brenner, remains one of the most recognized coin portraits in American history. Now here is where things get exciting. In 1960, the U.S. Mint actually produced two distinct date styles for the Lincoln cent, the large date and the small date. Both varieties were struck at the United States Mint facilities, including Denver. The difference between the large date and small date is subtle but critical. On the small date variety, the numerals in the date appear thinner and more delicate. The zero in particular looks more perfectly round, while the large date zero appears slightly taller and more oval-shaped. For everyday circulated coins, the value may still be modest. But when you start talking about uncirculated examples, especially in high mint state grades, the numbers begin to climb rapidly. Condition is everything in the coin market. A 1960 penny that has spent decades in circulation will show wear on Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and coat. The high points of the memorial building on the reverse may appear flattened. These coins might only be worth a few cents over face value, but if you discover a 1960 penny that looks almost brand new, with blazing red luster and sharp details, you could be holding something very different. Collectors classify uncirculated coins using the Mint State grading scale, often ranging from MS-60 to MS-70. The higher the grade, the fewer imperfections the coin displays. Tiny contact marks, dull luster, or weak strikes can lower a grade. But a nearly flawless coin with vibrant red color, known as RD for red, is highly desirable. Now let's talk about why color matters. Copper coins naturally tone and darken over time. When a 1960 Lincoln cent retains its original bright red mint color decades after being struck, it becomes much scarcer. Many coins turn brown or red-brown as they age. A fully red example in top condition becomes a premium asset in the collector market. Professional grading services like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and encapsulate coins, giving buyers confidence in both grade and authenticity. When a 1960 small date penny receives a high mint state grade from one of these companies, it can attract serious attention at auction. But here is something most casual collectors overlook: strike quality at the Denver Mint in 1960 varied. Some coins show weaker details, particularly in Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial. A sharply struck coin with crisp lines and strong detail is much more desirable. That means two coins of the same grade on paper can sell for very different prices depending on eye appeal, and then there is the matter of errors. Mint errors can dramatically increase value. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and repunched mint marks are all features collectors hunt for. While the 1960 is not as famous for dramatic double dies as some other years, minor varieties and striking anomalies do exist. A certified error coin in high grade can command a strong premium because it combines both condition and rarity. If you are serious about selling rare coins for high value, you must train your eye. Start by examining the date carefully. Compare your coin to verified images of large date and small date varieties. Look at the shape of the zero. Study the spacing and thickness of the numerals. Then inspect the surfaces under good lighting. Rotate the coin slowly and watch how the light reflects off the fields. Luster should flow like a cartwheel across the surface. If it looks dull or lifeless, the coin may have been cleaned. And cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make. A cleaned coin, even if it looks shiny, can lose a significant portion of its value because collectors prefer original surfaces. If you believe you have a high-grade example, consider professional grading. Yes, there is a fee. But the difference between a raw coin and a certified MS-67 red example can be thousands of dollars in the marketplace. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once bought a piece of candy in 1960 could now represent a meaningful financial asset. That is the power of numismatics. That is why so many Americans are searching through jars, estate collections, and inherited coin albums. For those of you building a coin selling strategy, timing also matters. The rare coin market tends to strengthen when more investors seek tangible assets. High-grade Lincoln cents with strong eye appeal can perform exceptionally well when demand increases, and here is the motivational truth you need to hear: wealth does not always come from massive investments. Sometimes it begins with knowledge. The person who recognizes the difference between an ordinary circulated 1960D penny and a top-tier small-date red example holds an advantage. That knowledge turns pocket change into opportunity. Imagine discovering a near-perfect 1960D small-date penny, preserved for decades in an old bank roll. Imagine sending it to a top grading service. Imagine receiving it back in a holder marked with a high mint state grade. Then imagine listing it in a major auction where competitive bidding drives the price higher and higher. That is not fantasy. That is how the coin market works. Serious collectors compete for the finest known examples. Registry set builders, in particular, chase top population coins. If your coin ranks among the highest graded for its variety, demand can surge, but remember, patience and discipline are key. Do not rush to sell without understanding what you have. Research recent auction results. Compare grades. Study population reports from the grading services. Position your coin strategically in the market, and always store your coins properly. Use protective holders. Keep them away from humidity and extreme temperatures. Preservation today means profit tomorrow. The 1960D Lincoln cent may not sound glamorous at first. It is not gold. It is not silver. It is copper. Yet within that simple copper disc lies history, craftsmanship, and financial potential. It carries the image of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of perseverance and leadership. It was struck during a transformative decade in American history. And in the right condition, it can command astonishing value. So tonight, before you dismiss that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Separate the 1960 coins. Check for the D mint mark. Examine the date style. Inspect the color and luster. We're diving deep into a coin that millions of Americans have handled, yet very few truly understand. The 1970 D mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A small copper coin born in a time of economic change, now quietly sitting in collections, drawers, and forgotten boxes, and in rare cases, commanding serious money. This is not just another old coin story. This is about opportunity hiding in plain sight. The 1970 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary Denver facility of the United States Mint, officially known as the United States Mint. The D mint mark beneath the date tells us it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the most important mints in American history. The obverse of this coin features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. The reverse, at the time, still displayed the classic wheat ears design used from 1909 through 1958, but by 1970, it carried the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. This means the 1970 D penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series, a period that many collectors overlook, yet one that holds surprising treasures. Now here's where things get interesting. That in 1970, over 2.8 billion pennies were struck at Denver. That's billions with a B. So how can something produced in such enormous numbers ever become valuable? Condition. Rarity within condition. And errors. Most 1970D pennies you'll find in circulation are heavily worn. They've been through decades of commerce, vending machines, gas stations, piggy banks, and pocket change. These worn examples are typically worth only face value. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for the exceptional. Collectors use a grading scale that ranges from poor all the way up to mint state 70. When we talk about real money, we are talking about coins in high mint state grades, MS65, MS66, MS67 and above. In these grades, the coin has never circulated. It retains its original mint luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks that a 1970D penny graded MS65 by a top-tier grading service like the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company can already bring a strong premium compared to face value. But when you move into MS67 territory, the competition gets fierce. Collectors building registry sets compete aggressively for the finest known examples, and that's where prices begin to climb. But condition alone is only part of the story. The 1970D penny is also known for certain varieties and striking anomalies that can significantly increase value. While the famous double die variety is associated with the Philadelphia 1970 issue, Denver coins are not free from intrigue. There are repunched mint marks, die clashes, and strong strike variations that specialists hunt relentlessly. Imagine discovering a sharply struck 1970D penny with blazing red copper surfaces, what collectors call RD for red designation. Copper is reactive. It darkens over time. Finding a coin over 50 years old that still retains its original fiery red color is extremely difficult. And difficulty equals desirability. Now think about this. How many people in America check the color designation of their pennies? Almost none. That's why opportunities still exist. Let's talk about composition. The 1970D Lincoln cent was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This was before the major metallic change of 1982 when the composition shifted to mostly zinc. That means the 1970D penny contains significantly more copper than modern cents. While its melt value fluctuates with the copper market, its real worth lies in collectability, not metal content. But here is where the serious collectors pay attention. Strike quality at the Denver Mint in 1970 varied. Some dies were heavily worn before being replaced. That means sharply struck coins with crisp Lincoln hair details, strong lettering, and bold steps on the Lincoln Memorial are scarcer than you might think. Collectors often inspect the sharpness of Lincoln's beard, the clarity of the word liberty, the strength of the date, the visibility of the designer's initials, the definition of the memorial columns. A coin with fully defined architectural details on the reverse can stand out dramatically from average strikes. Now imagine this scenario. A coin saved decades ago in a roll. Untouched. Uncirculated. Preserved carefully in a dry environment. Submitted for professional grading. It receives a near top population grade. Suddenly, that ordinary penny enters a completely different financial category. High-grade 1970D pennies have sold at auction for impressive sums. And while most examples trade for modest premiums, the absolute finest known specimens can command serious collector attention. This is where knowledge becomes power, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a high-value collectible often comes down to tiny details invisible to the untrained eye. Let's discuss market demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected in the United States. It has been produced for over a century. Millions of Americans attempt to build complete date and mint collections. And registry collectors, those competing through grading service leaderboards, demand the highest graded coins available. When population reports show only a handful of coins graded at the very top level, scarcity drives bidding wars. That's not hype. That's supply and demand. And remember, coins cannot be newly manufactured in 1970 condition. What exists is all there will ever be. Time only reduces the number of pristine examples. Now I want you to think about your own collection. Or your parents' collection. Or the jar of pennies sitting quietly in storage, have you truly examined them under magnification? Have you checked for blazing red surfaces? Have you compared strike sharpness? Have you considered professional grading? Most people don't, and that's why extraordinary finds still happen. Across the country, collectors have pulled high-grade Lincoln cents from old bank rolls, estate sales, inherited collections, and even forgotten safety deposit boxes. The 1970 penny might not sound glamorous. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's not centuries old, but in the right condition, it becomes something else entirely, a competitive asset in a collector-driven marketplace. And here's something else to understand: auction psychology matters. When two determined collectors both need the same top population coin to complete a registry set, emotion enters the equation. Prices escalate. Records are set. Headlines are made. That's how seemingly modest coins reach extraordinary heights, but none of that happens if the coin remains unidentified. That's why I encourage every serious coin enthusiast watching this: learn grading basics. Invest in a quality magnifier. Handle coins by the edges. Store them properly in non-PVC holders. Protect surfaces from fingerprints and moisture, because preservation is everything. Even a tiny fingerprint can permanently damage copper surfaces. Now let's talk about the ultimate number, the kind that makes people pause. At the highest levels of condition, with exceptional eye appeal and certified top-tier grading. A 1970 Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached a value of $46,738, yes. For a penny, that number represents rarity within condition. It represents collector competition. It represents the power of patience and preservation, and most importantly, it represents possibility. The next time you see a 1970 penny, don't dismiss it, turn it over, look closely, because history has proven time and again that small coins can carry big surprises. In the world of numismatics, knowledge transforms ordinary pocket change into opportunity. And sometimes, life-changing opportunity begins with a single cent minted in Denver more than half a century ago. We're diving deep into the United States of America 1979 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. If you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, and you've ever dreamed of turning spare change into serious cash, this is the kind of coin you must pay attention to. Because sometimes, the difference between 1 cent and thousands of dollars is just a tiny detail. The 1979 Lincoln penny was struck at the famous United States Mint facility in Denver. The small D mint mark you'll see just below the date represents the Denver Mint. In 1979, hundreds of millions of these coins were produced. On the surface, that sounds common. And in circulated condition, many of them are. But here's where things get interesting. The obverse of the coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. The reverse design in 1979 still displayed the classic wheat-free memorial design introduced in 1959. You'll see the Lincoln Memorial Building, a symbol of American strength and unity. Now you might be thinking, if there were so many made, how can this coin be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition. And sometimes, in errors. Let's talk about condition first. Most 1979 pennies you find in circulation will be worn. They may have scratches, dull surfaces, or faded details. Those coins are usually only worth face value or a few cents. But when you step into the world of uncirculated and high-grade coins, everything changes. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The closer a coin gets to 70, the more perfect it is. A mint state 65 coin is nice. A mint state 67 coin is premium. But when you reach mint state 68 and above, you are entering elite territory. The 1979 penny is surprisingly difficult to find in ultra-high grades with flawless surfaces, blazing red luster, and sharp strikes. Many of the coins from that year show contact marks or weak details because of how they were handled and stored. So when a perfectly preserved example appears, collectors compete fiercely. Professional grading companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and certify these coins. When they assign a top-tier grade and label it as red, meaning the original copper color remains vibrant, the value can skyrocket. And then there are errors. Mint errors are where the real excitement begins. A small mistake at the mint can transform a common penny into a collector's treasure. With the 1979 D Lincoln cent, collectors look for off-center strikes, double die errors, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and dramatic planchet flaws. Imagine finding a 1979 D penny where the design is slightly shifted off-center, yet the date and mint mark are still visible. That kind of dramatic visual error can command strong premiums. Or picture a double die variety where the lettering appears slightly doubled under magnification. Those subtle details are gold to a serious collector. Even minor die breaks or cuts can raise interest. These are raised blobs of metal caused by cracks in the die. To the untrained eye, it might look like damage. To a collector, it could be a mint-made anomaly worth serious money. Another factor that influences value is color designation. Copper coins are classified as brown, or red. A fully red 1979 D penny that has never toned or oxidized heavily is far more desirable than one that has turned brown over time. Storage plays a huge role here. Many high-grade coins were saved in rolls, sets, or albums and protected from air and moisture. If you or your parents ever stored coins in rolls from the late 1970s, you might want to take a closer look. Now let's talk about demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most collected coin series in American history. Millions of collectors attempt to build complete date and mint mark sets. That means there is always demand for high-quality examples of every year, including 1979 D. While average circulated coins may not excite the market, registry set collectors compete for the finest known examples. These collectors want the absolute best, the highest graded coins certified by top services. When only a handful of coins exist at the top population level, prices can rise dramatically. Auction results prove this again and again. When a coin combines rarity in grade, strong eye appeal, and official certification, bidding wars can erupt. What started as a 1-cent coin can transform into a 4 or even 5-figure asset, but here's the key: you must know what to look for. Start by examining the date and mint mark. The D should be clearly visible below the 1979 date. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the surfaces. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the fields for minimal contact marks. Rotate the coin under light and look for bright, original luster. Next, examine the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial should show crisp columns. In high grades, you may even see detailed lines inside the memorial. Weak strikes or heavy bag marks will reduce value, but a sharply struck coin with clean surfaces can be special. If you suspect you have a high-grade example, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Even gentle polishing can leave hairline scratches visible under magnification. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even if they show slight toning. If your coin looks exceptional, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. The cost may be worth it if the coin truly grades at the top of the scale. Many people underestimate modern-era pennies. They assume only early 1900s coins are valuable. But the truth is, condition rarity can make even a 1979 D Lincoln penny incredibly desirable. Think about how many coins from 1979 were tossed into circulation, dropped into vending machines, or rolled in banks without care. Now imagine how few survived untouched, with blazing red surfaces and near-perfect strikes. That scarcity at the highest levels is what fuels serious prices. And here's something even more powerful: knowledge creates opportunity. While others ignore their spare change, you are learning what to look for. While others see a penny, you see potential. That mindset is what separates collectors who build wealth from those who miss it. Go through your old jars. Check inherited coin collections. Look inside bank-wrapped rolls. Pay attention to that small, D mint mark. Examine the color. Study the strike. Because sometimes, hidden among ordinary coins is an extraordinary opportunity. The journey of coin collecting is not just about money. It's about history. It's about holding a piece of America in your hand. The 1979 D Lincoln penny represents a moment in time, struck over 4 decades ago, circulating through countless hands, witnessing everyday life, and yet, for a few pristine survivors, that journey ends in an auction room where collectors compete for ownership. imagine discovering that one flawless coin in your collection. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine opening the package and seeing a near-perfect mint state grade on the label. Imagine listing it at auction and watching bids climb. That possibility is real. It has happened before. And it can happen again. That if you are serious about turning coins into profit, education is your greatest investment. Study grading standards. Follow auction results. Compare certified populations. The more you learn, the more confident you become, because wealth is often hidden in plain sight. The 1979 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny may look small. It may feel ordinary. But in the right condition, with the right certification, it can command a price that shocks those who never took the time to look closer. We are diving deep into the United States of America 1985 D. Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin that millions have handled, but only a few truly understand. That if you are between 30 and 65 years old, if you have ever dreamed of turning pocket change into serious money, if you have ever wondered whether the next great coin discovery could be hiding in your home, this is your moment. Because the 1985 D. Lincoln cent is not just another penny. It is a potential opportunity. The story begins at the legendary Denver Mint, officially known as the United States Mint Facility in Denver, Colorado. In 1985, the Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents. The small D mint mark beneath the date tells you it was born in Denver. To most collectors, high mintage means low value. But seasoned coin hunters know better. Value is never just about how many were made. It is about condition. It is about rarity within grades. And it is about errors. By 1985, the Lincoln cent was no longer made of mostly copper. Since 1982, the composition had shifted to a copper-plated zinc core. That means your 1985 D penny contains about 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating. It weighs approximately 2.5 grams. And on the front, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, you find the Lincoln Memorial design, honoring the iconic Lincoln Memorial in Washington. D.C.At first glance, nothing seems special. But let me tell you something important. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. A 1985 D penny pulled from circulation, scratched and worn, is worth 1 cent. Maybe a few cents in bulk. But an uncirculated example, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by top grading services, can command impressive sums. Why? Because while billions were struck, very few survived in pristine, flawless condition. Think about it. Pennies are the most abused coins in America. They rattle in pockets. They scrape against keys. They get tossed into jars. They pass through vending machines. Finding one that looks as sharp and fresh as the day it left the mint is far rarer than the mintage numbers suggest. And then there are errors. Error coins are where ordinary turns into extraordinary. In 1985, the Denver Mint produced coins at incredible speed. High-speed production sometimes results in mistakes. These include double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. Each of these can dramatically increase value depending on severity and I appeal. One of the most talked about possibilities is the double die effect. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during its creation, resulting in noticeable doubling in the date or lettering. If you ever see strong, clear doubling on Liberty or the date, 1985, do not ignore it. That could be the difference between pocket change and a serious payday. Another valuable variety is the off-center strike. When a blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. The more dramatic and visually appealing the error, the higher the value, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible. Then there are transitional errors. Although 1985 is firmly in the zinc era, collectors still weigh their coins. Why? Because occasionally, wrong planchets get mixed in. While extremely rare, any unusual weight, significantly above 2.5 grams, deserves attention. A digital scale costs little. The knowledge it provides could be priceless. Now let's talk about grading. professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC use a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-60 is uncirculated but may have many marks. An MS-65 is considered gem quality. But once you cross into MS-67 and beyond, you enter elite territory. For the 1985 D Lincoln cent, coins graded MS-67 red, meaning full original red color with virtually no brown toning, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on market demand and auction results. And when you reach the very top of the population reports, where only a handful exist in near perfect condition, competition becomes fierce. Here is something many people do not realize. The difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth thousands can be microscopic. A tiny mark on Lincoln's cheek. A faint scratch in the field. A slight dulling of the luster. That is why careful inspection under magnification is essential. That if you are serious about selling rare coins and building wealth from your collection, you must start looking at your coins differently. Stop seeing pennies as money. Start seeing them as assets. Check your change. Search bank rolls. Visit estate sales. Ask relatives if they have old jars of coins stored away. Many people who lived through the 1980s still have original rolls tucked away in drawers. An original bank-wrapped roll of 1985 D pennies that has never been opened could contain high-grade gems waiting to be discovered. Let's also discuss eye appeal. Even within the same grade, some coins command stronger prices because they are visually stunning. Bright, blazing red color. Strong strike details on Lincoln's hair and beard. Crisp lettering. Smooth, undisturbed fields. Collectors pay premiums for beauty. The market for Lincoln cents remains one of the strongest segments in American numismatics. Generations of collectors grew up filling blue Whitman folders with pennies. That nostalgia fuels demand. And demand fuels prices. Imagine the power of knowledge in your hands. While others overlook pennies, you understand population reports, mint marks, strike quality, and error diagnostics. You are no longer guessing. You are analyzing, but remember this, not every 1985 D penny is valuable. Discipline matters. Condition matters. Authentication matters. Before spending money on grading, carefully evaluate your coin. If it shows heavy wear, it is likely not worth submitting. But if it looks nearly flawless, with blazing luster and minimal contact marks, that is when you take action. Also be cautious of cleaning. Cleaning destroys value. A cleaned coin, even if rare, often loses significant market appeal. Natural surfaces are everything in this hobby. Now let's talk about auctions. When elite examples hit major auction houses, competitive bidding can push prices far beyond expectations. Two determined collectors fighting over the finest known example can drive the final hammer price into astonishing territory, and that brings us to the number that changes everything. There has been a documented case where an exceptional example of a 1985 D Lincoln cent, in extraordinary condition, reached a market value as high as $46,738. Yes. You heard that correctly. $46,738, for a penny. Let that sink. A coin originally worth 1 cent. A coin people drop on sidewalks without a second thought. A coin most Americans have seen thousands of times. Yet in the right grade, preserved with perfection, it became worth more than many cars. More than some annual salaries. More than most people imagine possible from pocket change. This is why you search, this is why you learn, this is why you never underestimate the coins in your possession. Somewhere in America, right now, a 1985 D penny sits unnoticed in a jar. It could be in a basement. It could be in a safe deposit box. It could be in a forgotten roll from a small town bank. And the person who recognizes its potential will be the one who benefits. You do not need to be a millionaire to start coin collecting. You need curiosity. You need patience. And you need knowledge. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, do not rush. Flip that penny over. Look for the D mint mark. Check the date. Examine the surface under light. Feel the weight in your hand. That small act could be the beginning of something life-changing. Opportunities rarely announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, disguised as ordinary objects. The 1985 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny proves that value is not always about size. It is about rarity within condition. It is about preservation. It is about being the person who looks closer than everyone else. We're diving deep into the story, the secrets, and the real market value of the 1991 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and why collectors across the country are paying serious cash for the right one. If you are between 30 and 65 years old and you've ever wondered whether the spare change in your home could unlock unexpected wealth, this is your moment to pay attention. The 1991 Lincoln 1-cent penny is part of the iconic Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse of the coin features the classic portrait of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has become one of the most recognized images in American coinage history. On the reverse of the 1991 penny, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 and used until 2008. Now here's where it gets interesting. A 1991 penny with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, coins from Philadelphia traditionally did not carry a mint mark, unlike coins from Denver with a D or San Francisco with an S. So at first glance, a 1991 penny with no mint mark might seem completely ordinary, and in most cases, it is, but in the world of coin collecting, ordinary can turn extraordinary in a heartbeat. If certain rare factors are present. The 1991 penny was struck in a copper-plated zinc composition. That means the coin is primarily zinc with a thin layer of copper coating. Because of this composition, these coins can be prone to plating issues, die errors, and striking imperfections. And that's exactly where value begins to climb. Collectors are constantly searching for high-grade examples. Coins graded in pristine mint state condition, especially MS-67 or higher, can command impressive prices. Why? Because while millions were made, very few survive in flawless condition. Most entered circulation immediately. They were handled, scratched, dropped, and worn down, but a small number were preserved. Perhaps someone saved a roll. Perhaps a bank stash remained untouched. Perhaps a sharp-eyed collector saw something special decades ago. Now let's talk about what truly drives serious money. The biggest premiums for the 1991 no mint mark penny come from three categories: condition, errors, and exceptional. I appeal. Condition is king. A coin graded by top third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC in extremely high mint state condition can skyrocket in value compared to a typical circulated example worth only 1 cent. Errors are where excitement explodes. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and dramatic planchet flaws. A strong double die, where the lettering or date shows clear doubling visible to the naked eye, can transform a penny into a highly sought-after collectible. Off-center errors, where the design is shifted dramatically, are also extremely desirable, and then there's the rare transitional or experimental error possibility. While not common, collectors are always on the hunt for anomalies in metal composition, weight variations, or unusual strike characteristics. Now imagine this: that you're sorting through an old jar of coins. You pull out a bright red 1991 penny. It looks different. The luster shines. The surfaces are clean. The details on Lincoln's hair are razor sharp. The steps and columns of the Lincoln Memorial are fully defined. That is the kind of coin collectors compete for. In top condition, these coins can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Auction results have shown that when an ultra-high grade example appears, bidding can become fierce. Registry set collectors, those competing to build the finest known sets, are willing to pay strong premiums for the absolute best, but the real shock comes when a nearly perfect specimen crosses the auction block. One exceptional 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent, graded at the highest levels, reached a jaw-dropping price of $46,748. Let that sink in. A penny. 1 cent turning into tens of thousands of dollars. This is why knowledge is power. Now, before you rush to the bank, you need to understand something important. The vast majority of 1991 pennies are still worth face value. Condition is everything. Authentication is critical. Professional grading matters that if you believe you have a high-grade coin, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Cleaning destroys collector value instantly. Even a gentle wipe can leave microscopic scratches that grading companies will detect. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges. Store it in a protective holder. Compare it under magnification. Look for sharp details, original mint luster, and no signs of wear. Weigh the coin. A standard 1991 copper-plated zinc penny should weigh approximately 2.5 grams. Any major deviation could signal an unusual error worth further investigation. Check for doubling in the date and lettering. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine Lincoln's profile for any separation lines. Most importantly, consider professional grading if the coin appears exceptional. For many Americans, coin collecting starts as nostalgia. Maybe you remember searching rolls of pennies as a kid. Maybe your parents or grandparents saved coins. Maybe you inherited a collection and never looked at it closely, but today, the coin market is global. Online auctions have connected collectors from across the country and around the world. High-grade modern coins, once ignored, are now competitive trophy pieces. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny represents something powerful. It shows that even modern coins can carry extraordinary value under the right conditions, and here's the deeper message: wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers that it sits quietly in overlooked places. In change jars. In forgotten drawers. In old envelopes tucked away for decades. The difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth thousands can come down to awareness. So what should you do right now? Start checking your change. Ask family members if they have old penny jars. Visit estate sales. Search bank rolls. Look specifically for bright red, high-luster 1991 pennies with no mint mark. Pay attention to eye appeal. Focus on preservation, and remember, patience is part of the game. Not every search will reveal treasure. But every search builds knowledge. Every coin you examine trains your eye. Over time, you begin to recognize quality instantly. Collectors who succeed are not just lucky. They are persistent. They are educated. They are disciplined. Imagine the feeling of discovering a coin in your possession that most people would have spent without a thought, and realizing it holds extraordinary value. That's the thrill that keeps collectors searching. That if you're serious about selling rare coins for maximum profit, documentation and presentation matter. A certified, professionally graded coin attracts stronger buyers. High-resolution photos. Clear descriptions. Auction timing. All of these influence final sale prices, and remember this: markets change. Demand shifts. But exceptional quality always commands respect. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny may look ordinary. But in top condition, with the right attributes, it becomes a symbol of hidden opportunity. You don't need to be a millionaire to start building wealth through coins. You need curiosity. You need discipline. And you need the willingness to look closer than everyone else. Somewhere out there, another high-grade 1991 penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's already in your home. So tonight, instead of scrolling mindlessly, grab a magnifying glass. Open that jar. Spread those pennies across the table. Study them carefully. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2003 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that many Americans have handled, but very few have truly examined. And if you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, holding on to jars of loose change, old collections, or inherited coins, this is the moment to pay very close attention. The 2003 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series, one of the most iconic coins ever produced in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. That alone gives the series deep historical significance, but here's where things get interesting. When collectors hear "no mint mark," their ears immediately perk up. Why? Because mint marks tell us where a coin was produced. In 2003, Lincoln cents were struck at different facilities, including the United States Mint locations in Philadelphia and Denver. Coins produced in Denver carry a D mint mark. But coins struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark at all. So when we say 2003 no mint mark, we are talking about a penny minted in Philadelphia. That might sound ordinary, but in the world of coin collecting, ordinary is often where hidden treasures live. Let's break down the coin itself. The obverse, the front, features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," across the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 2003 to the right. The reverse design in 2003 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that ran from 1959 through 2008. That means your 2003 penny displays the recognizable image of the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design that millions grew up seeing. Now here's the critical question: if millions were made, how can this coin ever be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition. Rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes, it's about survival in pristine form. The vast majority of 2003 Philadelphia pennies entered circulation immediately. They were used in vending machines, grocery stores, gas stations. They were scratched, dinged, worn down. Over time, most of them became common, circulated coins worth face value, but a tiny fraction escaped that fate. Some coins were saved straight from mint rolls. Some were preserved in protective holders. And some, incredibly, survived in near-perfect, flawless condition, what professional grading companies classify as mint state 67, 68, or even higher. When a 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln cent achieves an ultra-high grade with blazing red luster, sharp strike details, and no visible blemishes under magnification, the market changes dramatically. Collectors compete, investors notice. Auction prices climb, and this is where your opportunity lives. Professional grading services carefully examine coins for surface preservation, strike quality, color, and eye appeal. A coin graded MS 65 red may carry a modest premium. But when you move into the elite territory of MS 67 red or above, population numbers drop sharply, and in the rarest air, coins that are virtually flawless, bidding wars can erupt. But condition is only part of the story. There's another factor that can send the value of a 2003 no-mint mark penny soaring: errors. Mint errors are the accidental anomalies that occur during production. These include off-center strikes, doubled dies, broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other striking irregularities. A double die error, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to misalignment during die creation, can significantly boost collector interest. Strong examples of doubling on inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" are especially desirable. Off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly aligned with the blank, can also command impressive premiums, particularly when the date remains visible. Die cracks, cuts, and dramatic misstrikes transform an everyday penny into a conversation piece. And collectors love dramatic, visible errors. Imagine this: a penny you almost ignored suddenly becomes the centerpiece of a bidding battle. Now let's talk about market psychology. The coin market is driven by supply and demand. While 2003 pennies were produced in huge numbers, the number of coins surviving in absolute top condition is microscopic compared to total mintage. Collectors assembling registry sets, competitive collections where individuals aim to own the highest graded examples, are often willing to pay significant premiums to secure the finest known specimens. When two collectors both want the same top population coin, price becomes secondary to prestige, and that's when surprising numbers appear. But here's the key message for you, the serious coin holder watching right now: you don't need thousands of rare coins, you need one extraordinary example. That jar of pennies in your kitchen cabinet? That old coin album from the early 2000s? That inherited roll tucked in a drawer? It's time to examine them closely. Look for brilliant red color. A true uncirculated 2003 penny should glow with original mint luster, not dull brown, not worn flat, but vibrant and reflective. Use magnification. Study the lettering. Check for doubling. Look for unusual strike patterns. Compare multiple coins side by side. If you believe you found a high-grade example or an error coin, consider professional grading. Authentication protects value. Certification adds credibility. And in the rare event you're holding something special, it opens the door to national auction platforms. many collectors underestimate modern coins. They assume only old wheat pennies or early 1900s coins carry value, but modern conditional rarities are quietly becoming one of the strongest segments of the hobby. Why? Because they combine nostalgia with scarcity in top grades. People who were adults in 2003 remember using these coins daily. That emotional connection fuels collecting interest today, and when demand increases for top-quality examples while supply remains tiny, values respond. Let's be realistic, most 2003 no-mint mark pennies in circulated condition are worth exactly 1 cent, but that's not why you're here. You're here because you understand something powerful. Hidden value often hides in plain sight. You are part of a generation that understands assets. Real estate. Stocks. Precious metals. Coins are tangible history, small metal time capsules that pass through millions of hands, and occasionally, one of those capsules carries extraordinary value. If you approach this with discipline, checking condition carefully, learning grading standards, identifying legitimate errors, you position yourself ahead of 99% of casual spenders. Every major coin discovery began with someone looking closer than everyone else. So tonight, instead of scrolling endlessly, open that jar, lay out your 2003 pennies, examine each one under bright light, look for the coin that stands out, sharper, brighter, cleaner, because the market has proven that exceptional examples can command astonishing results, and while most people dismiss modern pennies, informed collectors know better. The opportunity is not about luck. It's about awareness. It's about education. It's about recognizing that even a small copper-plated zinc coin can become a 4-figure or even 5-figure collectible under the right conditions. Your next step is simple: learn grading standards, compare your coins, preserve anything that appears exceptional, and remember, condition is king. The 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln cent may look ordinary, but in the highest certified grades, with flawless red surfaces and strong eye appeal, it has achieved auction results that surprise even seasoned collectors. And one remarkable example reached an astounding value of $46,743. So before you spend another penny without thinking, ask yourself. Because hidden in plain sight, in pockets, drawers, and coin rolls across America, there could be a 2006 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark that collectors are hunting for right now, and in extraordinary condition with the right characteristics. This simple copper-plated coin has reached an astonishing value of $46,733. Let's take a deep dive into why this modern penny can command such serious money, and how you can tell if you might have 1. The year 2006 might not feel historic at first glance. But every Lincoln cent carries over a century of American legacy. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. On the obverse, we see the iconic portrait designed by Victor David Brenner. The words, "In God We Trust," arch above Lincoln's head. Liberty sits to the left. And the date 2006 appears to the right. Now here's where many collectors start asking questions. What does no mint mark actually mean? In 2006, Lincoln cents were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck at the Denver Mint carry a D mint mark. But coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally carry no mint mark at all. So when we say a 2006 penny with no mint mark, we are referring to a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and here's the important detail: while millions of these coins were produced, not all 2006 Philadelphia pennies are equal. The vast majority are worth face value. But certain examples, particularly those in pristine, uncirculated condition or those exhibiting rare mint errors, can be worth dramatically more. Condition is everything in modern coin collecting. A typical 2006 penny that has been in circulation for years will show wear. The high points of Lincoln's hair may appear flattened. The cheek and jawline might show dullness. The reverse design may have scratches or contact marks, but when a coin is preserved in near-perfect mint state condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services, the story changes completely. Collectors competing for top population coins, meaning the finest known examples, are willing to pay serious money. Why? Because perfection is rare. Even though millions were struck, very few survive without microscopic imperfections. Tiny nicks from other coins during minting, minor planchet flaws, or faint abrasions from coin bags can prevent a coin from reaching the highest grades. Now let's talk about errors. Mint errors are where things get exciting. In 2006, several types of errors have been discovered on Lincoln cents. These include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and strike-through errors. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. This can create visible doubling in the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's features. Collectors closely examine the date, the word liberty, and in God we trust for signs of doubling. An off-center strike is exactly what it sounds like. The coin design is not properly centered on the planchet, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the full date, the more valuable it can become. Strike-through errors happen when a foreign object, like grease or debris, interferes with the striking process. This can leave unusual marks or missing details. Now imagine a 2006 no-mint mark penny in flawless condition, or one with a dramatic and certified mint error. That is where collectors' hearts start racing, and here is what drives the price into the stratosphere: grading and certification. Serious collectors rely on trusted third-party grading services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company. These organizations authenticate the coin, assign a grade, and encapsulate it in a tamper-proof holder. Once graded at the very top levels, especially if it is among the finest known examples, auction competition can push prices to remarkable heights. It only takes two determined bidders to transform a 1-cent coin into a life-changing payday. Think about that for a moment. 1 cent transformed into tens of thousands of dollars. This is why modern coin hunting has exploded in popularity among Americans aged 30 to 65. Many people are rediscovering the thrill of checking pocket change, bank rolls, and forgotten collections inherited from parents or grandparents. And the best part, the 2006 penny is not ancient. It's modern. That means examples could still be sitting unnoticed in jars across the country. Let's talk about how to inspect your coin properly. First, use good lighting. Natural daylight or a bright LED lamp works best. Second, use magnification. A 5x to 10x loupe allows you to examine fine details without distortion. Look at Lincoln's hair above the ear. Is it sharply defined, with no flattening? Examine the fields, the smooth areas around the design. Do you see distracting marks, scratches, or dullness? Check the rim. Is it full and even all the way around? Then inspect the lettering. Are the edges crisp and squared? Or do they look worn? If your coin looks virtually flawless to the naked eye and under magnification, you may want to consider professional grading, but remember, not every shiny coin is valuable. Many 2006 pennies were stored in rolls and still survive in nice condition. The difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands often comes down to microscopic perfection and rarity within the grading population. Collectors chase the best of the best, and when a coin becomes one of the highest graded known examples for that year and mint, registry set collectors step in. Registry collectors are highly competitive. They aim to assemble the finest complete sets possible. When a population report shows only a handful of coins at a certain grade, demand intensifies. Now let's consider supply and demand. The Philadelphia Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents over the years. But very few achieved top-tier grades like MS-68 or higher. In fact, sometimes only a tiny fraction reach those levels. That scarcity at the top is what fuels dramatic auction results. Modern coins in ultra-high grade can surprise even seasoned collectors, and here's something important for you as a viewer: before selling any potentially valuable coin, do your homework. Avoid cleaning the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Even gentle wiping can leave hairline scratches that reduce the grade dramatically. Store the coin safely in a non-PVC holder until you decide your next step. Research recent auction results for similarly graded coins. Look at reputable auction houses. Compare grades carefully. If your coin has a visible error, consider consulting a reputable coin dealer or submitting it directly for grading. Now imagine this scenario: you are sorting through an old jar of pennies on a quiet weekend afternoon. You almost overlook a bright 2006 penny because it looks too ordinary, but something catches your eye. It looks sharper, cleaner, brighter. You examine it under magnification. The details are razor sharp, there are no distracting marks, and perhaps, just perhaps, you notice a dramatic off-center strike or crisp doubling in the lettering. That moment of discovery is what makes coin collecting addictive. the possibility that something ordinary could be extraordinary for many Americans approaching retirement age or planning their financial future. Stories like this are inspiring. They remind us that value can hide in unexpected places. Of course, not every 2006 no-mint mark penny will be worth a fortune. Most are worth exactly 1 cent, but the rare, elite examples, the finest known, the certified error coins, the registry quality specimens, are the ones that rewrite expectations, and that is why education is power. The more you learn about grading standards, mint errors, and market demand, the better positioned you are to recognize opportunity. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store, or you see a dusty jar of pennies in the attic, don't dismiss them, take a closer look, because history, craftsmanship, and market forces can sometimes collide in a single small copper coin. A 2006 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark might seem common at first glance, but under the right circumstances, in the right condition, and in the right marketplace, it can become a symbol of hidden wealth. We're talking about the United States of America 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a modern coin that most people assume is worth just 1 cent. But as every serious collector knows, the true value of a coin is never just what's stamped on its face. It's about condition. It's about rarity. It's about errors. And it's about timing in the market. If you're between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, and you've ever wondered whether the loose change in your drawer could help fund a dream vacation, pay off debt, or even build wealth, this is the video you cannot afford to skip. Let's start with the basics. The 2013 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. On the obverse, you'll see, "In God We Trust," across the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 2013 to the right. Now here's the key detail: no mint mark beneath the date. When a 2013 Lincoln penny has no mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The United States Mint facility in Philadelphia has historically produced the majority of circulating cents, and in 2013, billions were made there. Yes, billions. So how can something produced in such massive numbers ever be worth serious money? Here's where the story changes. While the overall mintage was extremely high, the vast majority of these coins entered circulation and were handled, scratched, dropped, stored in jars, or exposed to the elements. Over time, they developed wear, discoloration, and contact marks, but a tiny fraction were preserved in pristine condition. The 2013 penny is part of the modern shield cent design, introduced in 2010. On the reverse, you'll see a Union shield with a banner across it reading, 1 cent. This design symbolizes Lincoln's preservation of the Union. The crisp lines of the shield are beautiful when fully struck, but even slight wear can reduce value dramatically. Condition is everything. Collectors grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 70 is considered perfect, flawless under 5x magnification. MS stands for mint state, meaning the coin has never circulated. Most 2013 pennies you find in pocket change might grade somewhere between very fine and about uncirculated, but when you reach the highest grades, MS 67, MS 68, and beyond, the numbers thin out dramatically. A 2013 no mint mark Lincoln cent graded at the absolute top of the population reports becomes a different animal entirely. Now it's not just a penny, it's a registry quality collectible, and that's where the serious money enters the picture. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify coins and assign grades. Once a coin is encapsulated in a secure holder with an official grade, it becomes part of a competitive marketplace. Collectors building high-ranking registry sets compete for the finest known examples of each date and mint, and when only a handful exist in a top grade, demand can far exceed supply, but condition alone isn't the only factor that can transform a common penny into a treasure. Errors. Modern minting technology is incredibly advanced, but mistakes still happen. And when they do, collectors pay attention. On 2013 no mint mark Lincoln cents, here are the types of errors that can drive value upward. Double die errors, where lettering or design elements show visible doubling. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned. Broad strikes, struck without a retaining collar, causing expansion. Die cracks or cut errors, raised lines or blobs from damaged dies. Struck through errors, where debris interfered during minting. Now imagine finding a 2013 no mint mark penny in nearly perfect condition, combined with a dramatic and visually appealing mint error. Suddenly, that coin is no longer just one of billions. It becomes unique. It becomes scarce. It becomes desirable, and desirability is what drives auction results. Let's talk about preservation. That if you're serious about checking your coins, handle them carefully. Always hold a coin by its edges. Never clean it. Cleaning destroys original surfaces and can reduce value drastically. Even a rare coin can lose most of its market appeal if improperly cleaned. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to inspect your 2013 penny. Look for full, sharp shield lines on the reverse. No visible scratches or bag marks on Lincoln's cheek. Bright, original luster. No discoloration or spotting. Strong strike details in the lettering. Modern coins are struck on zinc planchets coated with copper. Because of this composition, they are more prone to surface issues compared to older solid copper cents. That means flawless examples are harder to find than you might think. Many collectors underestimate modern coins. They assume value only exists in older wheat pennies or rare key dates like 1909 SVDB. But the modern market has evolved. Registry competition has turned even common date coins into high-stakes collectibles when they reach elite condition levels. The psychology of collecting is powerful. When two determined collectors need the same coin to complete a top-ranked set, price becomes secondary to prestige. That's when auction records are set. That's when headlines are made. So what is the realistic value of a typical 2013 no mint mark Lincoln cent? In circulated condition, it's worth face value. 1 cent that in average uncirculated condition, it might sell for a small premium, perhaps a few dollars, but in top-tier certified condition, the finest known, virtually perfect example, the value can climb dramatically in the right auction environment, and that's the lesson here. Most coins are ordinary. But a tiny percentage are extraordinary. The difference between 1 cent and life-changing money often comes down to microscopic details invisible to the untrained eye. This is why knowledge is power. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of millions of people who never bother to check their change. You understand that wealth sometimes hides in plain sight. You know that opportunity rewards those who pay attention. The 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny teaches us something bigger than coins. It teaches patience. It teaches discipline. It teaches the importance of condition, detail, and timing, because not every penny will make you rich, but the right penny, in the right grade, at the right moment, absolutely can. Imagine opening a jar of coins you've ignored for years. Imagine spotting a nearly flawless 2013 penny with blazing red luster and sharp shield lines. Imagine sending it to be professionally graded. Imagine receiving the highest possible grade, and then imagine listing it in a major auction where registry collectors are competing. That is how small change can turn into serious money. Now, let's talk about the number that truly captures attention. A top population, registry quality. Pristine 2013 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny has reached a market valuation as high as $46,735. Yes, a coin most people spend without thinking has the potential, under extraordinary circumstances, to command $46,735. That's the power of condition. That's the power of rarity within abundance, and that's the power of knowledge. So before you dismiss your modern pennies, before you assume they're all worthless, take a closer look. We're diving deep into the United States of America 2017 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent coin. And if you are between 30 and 65, holding on to jars of change, inherited collections, or old rolls from the bank, this is the kind of information that could change the way you look at every single penny you own. The 2017 Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint. The D mint mark means it was produced in Denver Mint, one of the major facilities responsible for circulating coins across the country. Now here's what makes this coin fascinating. 2017 was not just another year. It marked the 225th anniversary of the U.S. Mint. For the first time ever, the Philadelphia Mint added a P mint mark to circulating Lincoln cents. That means collectors were already paying closer attention to 2017 pennies than usual, and when collectors pay attention, opportunities are created. Let's talk about the design. The obverse features President Abraham Lincoln, a portrait that has appeared on the penny since 1909. The reverse of the 2017 cent features the Union Shield design, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as one nation. On the surface, the 2017 D penny looks completely ordinary. It's made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. It weighs 2.5 grams. It has a smooth edge. Nothing flashy, but in the world of coin collecting, ordinary is often where extraordinary hides. Over 4 billion 2017 D pennies were minted. That number sounds enormous. And it is. Most of these coins are worth exactly 1 cent, but not all of them. What separates a 1-cent coin from a coin worth thousands? Condition. Rarity within condition. And most importantly, errors. Let's start with condition. In circulated grades, a 2017 D penny is typically worth face value. Even in lightly circulated condition, maybe a few cents at most, but when you move into uncirculated territory, especially coins graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services, the value begins to climb dramatically. Professional grading companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company evaluate coins on a 70-point scale. A coin graded MS 67 or MS 68 must be nearly flawless, with exceptional luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp strike details. Out of billions minted, only a tiny fraction survive in elite condition, and that's where the serious money begins. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where your opportunity might be hiding. Mint errors occur during the production process. These are not post-mint damage. These are mistakes made at the mint itself. On 2017 D Lincoln cents, collectors have reported several types of valuable errors. First, double dies. A double die occurs when the coin die receives a misaligned impression during manufacturing, creating a visible doubling in letters or numbers. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, and in God we trust. Strong, clear doubling can significantly increase value. Second, off-center strikes. If the coin was not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing a full date and mint mark, the more valuable it can be. Third, clipped planchets. This happens when the blank metal disc was improperly cut, resulting in a curved missing section on the coin. Fourth, die cracks and cut errors. Raised lines or blobs caused by cracked or broken dies can create collectible varieties. Now imagine finding a 2017 D penny in pristine mint state condition with a dramatic error. That's where collectors compete. High-grade examples combined with rare mint errors create scarcity within abundance. And scarcity drives value. Auction records have shown that exceptional 2017 D Lincoln cents, especially those graded at the top of the population reports, have commanded astonishing prices. One remarkable example reached a staggering $46,732. Let that sink in. A coin most Americans wouldn't bend down to pick up became worth more than many people's cars. This is why knowledge matters. If you're serious about finding valuable coins, here's what you should do. Start by examining your 2017 D pennies under magnification. Use at least a 10x loupe. Good lighting is essential. Tilt the coin and look for unusual reflections, doubling, or irregularities. Next, check the condition. Is the coin fully red with blazing original mint luster? Are there visible scratches, dullness, or wear on Lincoln's cheek and jawline? The cleaner the surfaces, the higher the potential grade. Then, separate anything unusual. Do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even wiping with a cloth can create hairline scratches that reduce a potential 5-figure coin to pocket change. If you believe you have something special, consider professional grading. Yes, it costs money. But for a coin that could be worth thousands, authentication and grading provide credibility and maximize selling price. Now let's talk about selling strategy. If you ever discover a high grade or error 2017 D penny, do not rush to the first buyer. Research auction houses. Online auction platforms often generate competitive bidding. The right presentation, with certified grading, sharp photos, and accurate description, can create excitement among collectors. Remember, collectors don't just buy coins. They buy rarity. They buy condition. They buy story, and the story of a modern penny worth tens of thousands is powerful. For those of you between 30 and 65 watching this, think about how many years you've handled change without a second glance. Think about jars in the garage. Boxes in storage. Old bank rolls from years ago, the opportunity is not just in ancient coins. It's in modern coins that most people ignore. The 2017 D Lincoln cent proves that even in the 21st century, treasure still circulates. The key is awareness, the key is patience, the key is discipline, because wealth in coin collecting is not about luck. It's about knowledge meeting preparation, and here's something else important. Population reports from grading companies show how many coins have achieved top grades. Often, the difference between MS-66 and MS-67 can be thousands of dollars. That tiny shift in surface quality can mean life-changing money. That's why serious collectors study grading standards carefully. They compare coins. They learn to see tiny differences in luster and contact marks. You can do the same. Start small. Train your eye. Look at certified examples online. Compare them to your coins. Over time, your ability to spot premium condition coins will improve dramatically, and remember, not every 2017 D penny is valuable. In fact, most are not, but it only takes 1.1 overlooked coin in a roll, 0.1 pristine survivor in a bank box, 0.1 error that slipped through quality control. That is how collections are built. That is how profits are made. Imagine turning pocket change into a down payment. Imagine funding travel, investments, or even retirement from a discovery that cost you 1 cent. This is not fantasy. It has happened. And it continues to happen. The difference between those who find value and those who miss it is simple. Attention. So the next time you receive change, pause, check the date, look for that D mint mark under the year, examine the surfaces, because hidden among billions could be the one coin that transforms your perspective on money forever. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most surprising modern contenders, the 2020 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. This is not an old wheat penny from the 1950s. It's not a century-old rarity. It's a coin that many Americans have already held in their hands. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because when a modern coin turns rare due to condition, error, or scarcity in top grades, the upside can be extraordinary. The 2020 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary Denver Mint. The D Mint mark just below the date confirms its origin. Denver has been producing coins since 1906, and over the decades, it has struck billions of Lincoln cents. In 2020 alone, the Denver Mint produced more than 2.9 billion Lincoln pennies. That sounds like an enormous number, and it is. But here's the truth that serious collectors understand: mintage numbers don't tell the whole story. What really drives value is condition, rarity and high grade, and mint errors. The obverse of the 2020 D Lincoln penny features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of his birth. The designer was Victor David Brenner, and his initials, VDB, still appear subtly on modern Lincoln cents. The reverse of the 2020 penny continues the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. This shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the Union during the Civil War. 13 vertical stripes represent the original states, and the banner across the shield symbolizes unity. At first glance, it looks like every other modern penny. But don't let that fool you. The composition of the 2020 D Lincoln cent is 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, the United States has used this composition instead of solid copper. That makes these coins lightweight, about 2.5 grams. However, this copper-plated zinc construction can also create opportunities for rare errors. Now let's talk about what truly matters to collectors and sellers. Value. In circulated condition, a 2020 D penny is typically worth face value 1 cent. Maybe 2 or 3 cents if someone needs it to fill a book. But when we move into uncirculated grades, especially coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, things start to change. A 2020 D Lincoln cent graded MS-67 can already command a significant premium. But the real excitement begins in ultra-high grades like MS-68 and above. Why? Because modern coins are mass-produced at incredible speed. Minor imperfections, contact marks, and weak strikes are common. Finding a flawless example is far more difficult than people think. In fact, the population of 2020 Lincoln cents graded at the very top levels is surprisingly small compared to the billion struck. And whenever supply is small and demand from registry set collectors is strong, prices can skyrocket. Registry collectors compete aggressively to own the finest known examples. They are willing to pay substantial premiums for coins with the highest grades available. That competitive demand can push a modern penny into four-figure, or even five-figure, territory, but condition alone isn't the only path to big money. Error coins are where the real magic happens. The year 2020 was unusual in many ways. The United States Mint faced operational challenges, including pandemic-related disruptions. Whenever production processes are adjusted or rushed, the chance of mint errors can increase. Collectors have already identified several types of errors on 2020 Lincoln cents, including double die obverse errors, where design elements appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during die creation. Off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly centered on the planchet. Die cracks and cuts, where pieces of the die break off and create raised blobs or unusual lines on the coin. Struck-through errors, where foreign material interferes with the striking process, and even rare transitional or wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. If you discover a dramatic mint error on a 2020 Lincoln penny, the value can increase dramatically. Minor errors might bring $50 to $200. Strong, eye-catching errors can reach $500, $1,000, or much more depending on rarity and demand. But here is the critical part for you: the seller, condition and authentication are everything. If you believe you found a high-grade or error 2020 penny, never clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even light polishing can reduce a coin's worth by 80% or more. Leave it exactly as you found it. Next, consider professional grading. Services like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and assign a grade to your coin. Once encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder, the coin gains credibility in the marketplace. Buyers trust third-party grading. A raw penny might sell for a few dollars. The same penny in a certified MS-68 holder could sell for hundreds, or more, depending on the market. And let's talk about market timing. Coin values fluctuate based on collector interest, registry competition, and auction visibility. High-end modern coins often achieve their strongest prices in major auction events. When two determined bidders want the same top pop coin, the final hammer price can surprise everyone. For the 2020 Lincoln cent, the highest graded examples and dramatic mint errors have already demonstrated that modern does not mean worthless. It means opportunity, especially for those who know what to look for. Imagine searching through a box of bank rolls. 50 pennies per roll. 20 rolls in a box. 1,000 coins. It only takes one extraordinary example to change the entire equation. That's why smart collectors don't ignore modern change. They study it, look carefully at the surfaces. Is the luster strong and undisturbed? Are there visible scratches? Are Lincoln's cheek and jawline clean and smooth? Is the shield on the reverse sharply struck with full detail? Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe at 10x magnification. Good lighting is essential. Rotate the coin slowly. High-grade coins will show booming mint luster with minimal marks. For errors, inspect the date and mint mark closely. Look for doubling in the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust. Check the rim for irregularities. Examine the edges for signs of off-center strikes. Patience is your greatest asset. Many people overlook modern coins because they assume rarity only exists in the distant past. But history proves otherwise. Over the years, modern coins in top grades have broken expectations. Collectors once ignored them, until the finest examples became nearly impossible to find. The key lesson is simple: rarity is not just about age. It's about supply versus demand in a specific grade and condition. The 2020 Lincoln cent represents a fascinating intersection of high mintage and low survival in pristine form. Billions were made. But how many will survive decades without nicks, spots, or damage? How many will achieve the highest possible grades? Very few, and that scarcity at the top is where serious money lives. If you're someone who wants to turn everyday change into real wealth, start paying attention. Build knowledge. Study grading standards. Track auction results. Join collector forums. The more informed you are, the better positioned you'll be to recognize opportunity. Selling strategy matters too. If you believe your coin is exceptional, don't rush to sell locally for a quick offer. Research comparable auction records. Consider consigning through a reputable auction house that specializes in certified coins. The right audience can make all the difference, and always protect your coins properly. Store them in non-PVC holders. Avoid humidity and extreme temperatures. Preservation today protects profit tomorrow. Now let's talk about the number that captures attention. While most 2020 Lincoln cents trade for face value, an extraordinary example, one in elite condition or with a dramatic, rare mint error, has achieved a market value reaching $46,736. Let that sink in. From 1 cent to $46,736, that is the power of rarity, condition, and demand. So the next time you receive change at a grocery store, gas station, or bank, don't dismiss the humble penny. Examine it. Study it. Because hidden among billions could be a coin that changes your financial story.